Good morning, students. So, in our programming in C class, now we are beginning with a new topic in our programming in C, that is user defined functions in C. So far, we have seen many example programs that make use of the main functions only. Main of function, as we know, main of function is a specialized function that alone can be used for simple programmings. And also main of is an essential function that should be included in a program. But for some larger programs, it may lead to some problems, such as the program may become too large and complex, and because of that the task of debugging, testing and maintaining becomes difficult. So main of function is an essential one that must be included in a program, and we know always for any program the execution starts from the main of function. It is an essential one, but when we use main of function alone for the whole program, the program may result in a very large, too large and complex program that may be difficult to test, debug, or it is further difficult to maintain. So in such situations, each part of the program may be independently coded, and later these individual codings can be combined into a single unit. These independently coded programs are called subprograms that becomes much easier to understand, debug and test. These individual or independently coded programs are called functions in C. So instead of coding a program as a single program within a one main of function, we can split the programming into sub functions, and each functions may perform some particular task, and these sub functions in C are called functions, user defined functions. So we know there may be situations when certain type of operations or calculations are repeated at many points throughout a program. Some other program we know there may be situations when we need to repeatedly perform some calculations, and in for example we may make use of the codings for finding the factorial of a number, maybe for several times in a program. In such situations, we may repeat the program statements wherever they are needed. So to avoid repetition of such codings further in a program, we can make use of the user defined functions, so that these functions can be reused without repeatedly performing the same codings in a program. So this saves both time and space. So the main advantages of user defined functions are that it facilitates top down modular programming. The overall program can be split up into sub modules, so that the high level logic of the problem can be solved first, and later it moves on to the lower level functions. And the length of the source program can be reduced by using functions at some places. As we said earlier, some part of the program that may need to be repeated can be coded as subfunctions, so that these functions can be reused throughout the program or for any other program, so that the length of the source program can be reduced. and it is easy to locate and isolate a faulty function for further investigations. When an overall program is split up into sub-programs, it is easy to locate an error or isolate a faulty functions. If there is an error, we can easily isolate or locate and isolate the error. So it provides easy debugging and testing. And a function may be used by many other programs also. Not for a single program, the sub functions or the user defined functions can be used within a program or outside the program. For many other programs, we can make use of these user defined functions. So apart from using a single main of functions, it is much easier to make use of sub functions or these user defined functions in a program, so that the programs can be split up using a top down modular approach. The higher modularity functions can be coded first, and then moving on to the lesser functions. Also, it reduces the size of the program and it reduces the complexity of the program, and it provides better readability, debugging and easy testing of the code, because we can isolate the faulty functions in any program with much easier, and it provides reusability. These sub functions can be reused within a program or outside the program. So like any other identifiers used in any program, the functions should also be defined before using it in a program. A function definition is also known as a function implementation. The function implementation must include a function name, function type, list of parameters, local variable declarations, function statements and a return statement. All these elements, the function name, function type, list of parameters, local variable declarations, function statements and the return statement, these 6 elements are grouped as 2 parts, namely function header and function body. The function header, definition of a function contains function header and a function body. The function header contains function name, function type and list of parameters, and all the other elements, local variable declarations, function statement and the return statement are included within the function body. So these are the 2 main parts of defining a function. So any function should be defined before it is used in a program, and this function declaration tells the compiler about a function's name, return type, parameters and all the other essential elements included in a function. So the function definition provides the actual body of the function. So a function should be declared and it tells the compiler about the function name, return type and parameters, and after declaring the function should be defined, and this function definition provides the actual body of the function. So the general form of a function definition is return type, function name, parameter list, then the body of the function. So for any variable declaration, we must specify the variable type, data type of that variable. For function declaration, we must specify the return type. That means the type of the value that is returned by the function should be already declared. And if the function does not return any value, it must be specified as void type. So in the general form of function definition, the first element included in the general form is return type, and it is followed by the function name. The function name can be any name just like forming an identifier, we can give any conventional name for the function name, and this function name is followed by the parameter list. Parameter list is the set of actual arguments, and these arguments provides the input data to the function. Actually, the parameter list contains the data, and these data passed through this parameter will be considered as the input data for the function. And then within the curly braces, we must specify the body of the function. So, the declaration of the function contains two parts. The function definition contains two parts. First one is the function header, and second one is the function body. The function header contains the return type, function name, and the parameter list. And the body of the function contains all the variables declared inside the functions, all the local variables that are to be declared and used within the function, the function statements that perform the task of the function, and the return statement. If it returns any value, we must specify the return statement, or otherwise we can simply state it as a void type. So, this is the definition of a function. And when we define a function, as we said earlier, the function definition contains two parts, essentially the function header and the function body. The function header contains the function name, function type, and the list of parameters. Function type is the return type that is specified before specifying the function name. So, the return type, it is the data type of the value the function returns. Some functions perform the desired operations without returning a value. In that case, we must specify the function as void. Okay, so this is the return type. Then the name function type, as we said, the function type specifies the type of the value. It can be either float, double, or anything else. If it does not return any value, it can be specified as a void type. Then the function name, it can be any valid identifier. So, we must follow the same rules of formation of identifier. Formation of any rules for formation of identifier is similar to that of forming a function name. Also, the function name is itself is considered to be an identifier, and we can use any conventional name. The name should be appropriate to the task performed by the function. But remember, we should avoid duplicating the library routines or operating system commands. We should not use any keywords as function names. The next one is the parameter list. The parameter list declares the variables that will receive the data sent by the calling program. That means these parameter lists serve as input data to the function to carry out the specified task. So, this provides the actual input data for the function. As they represent the actual input values, they are often referred to as formal parameters, and these parameters can also be used to send values to the calling programs. So, this is also known as arguments. The parameter list are also known as arguments or formal parameters, because this serves as the input data to the function. So, these three elements are included within the function header. The function header contains the return type, function name, and the parameters. Now, next is the function body. The function body contains the declarations and statements that are necessary for performing a required task. The function body should always be enclosed within braces. The function body contains three parts. That is the local declarations. You know what is a local variable. The variables that are declared and used only within a specific function is said to be a local variable. The variable that is local within that function. So all the variables that may be used in the function should be declared within the body of the function. So local declarations that specify the variables needed by the function, the function statements that perform the task of the functions, all the statements that is required for performing the required task of the function should be specified within the function body, and a return statement should be specified that returns the value evaluated by the functions. In some cases we may replace the return statement with any other print statement. In case if we display the value using a println statement, we can just replace the return statement with the println statement. Or we can, if it does not return any value, we can specify it as a void type also. So this is all about defining a function. Just have a look at an example program. See, this program makes use of a function called maxOf. Here maxOf is a function. It is a user defined function, and this function takes two parameters, num1 and num2, and it returns the maximum value between the two. So the function here, we make use of a user defined function. Our function declaration is int maxOf int num1 comma int num2. Int maxOf, as we know, int specifies the return type. When we declare a function, the function should always be, the function name should always be preceded with a return type. Here we specify int as the return type. That means our user defined function in this case returns an integer value. As it returns an integer value, it is specified with the return type int. Then the return type is followed by the function name maxOf. See, this user defined function is used to find out the greater of the two numbers, num1 and num2. We have to find the greater or biggest of the two number, num1 and num2. So I name this variable as maxOf. So our function name is maxOf, and it is used to find the biggest of the two numbers, num1 and num2, and num1 and num2 are our input data. So I have given this input data as a parameter list within the function. So hope it's clear to you now. In function declaration, the first element in the function declaration is the return type. We have specified the return type for this function as integer because this function returns an integer value. So the return type is specified as int. Then it is followed by the function name maxOf, and the function name contains two parameters, num1 and num2. Both num1 and num2 are integer values, so it is declared as int num1 comma int num2. This is the parameter list. So int is the return type, max is the function name, and within the brackets we specify the parameter list that is used in this user defined function. In this case, num1 and num2 are the parameter list used in this user defined function, and this serves as the input data for the function. Now this is the function header. This line is the function header, and then moving on to the function body, the second part of the function, that is a function body. Function body is always enclosed within the curly braces. It should be enclosed within curly braces. So this part of the function that is enclosed within the curly brace is called the function body. Within the function body, we must first specify the local variables that might be used on a function. So here we make use of a variable int result. Okay, result is a variable, local variable that is used within the function. So we have to first declare this variable result as integer variable. So int result, that is a variable declaration, and next to it is the function statements. The function statements always performs the required task for the function. Here we perform the function task using a if statement. If num1 greater than num2, see, our function is to find out the maximum of the two numbers. So we make use of a if statement to find the greater number. If num1 is greater than num2, result equal to num1. Simple logic, as we have learned in the if statement. If the condition is true, the statement immediately following the if statement will be executed. So if num1 is greater than num2, result equal to num1. Else, that means if the condition becomes false, the else part of the program will be executed. If the condition becomes true, result equal to num1. If the condition becomes false, then else part of the statement, else part of the program will be executed. In the else part we have given that result equal to num1. So if num1 is greater than num2, result equal to num1, or if the condition becomes false, result equal to num2. So we will get the greater number as result. Okay. So we have declared the variable result as integer to store the greater among these two values, num1 and num2. Now our next statement is return result. The result of this function will be returned. See, for this statement, it can be a return statement can be used to return the result of the calculation that is performed using a function, or we can replace the return statement with a println statement to just display the result of the calculation. Hope it's clear to you now. Learn well. Thank you.